Oh, updated the background, have we?
Yes, we have. I couldn't find the one I wanted.
Still pretty approps.
Thanks. Thank you much. How you doing this evening?
Otay, not exhausted
Okay.
somehow. And
Okay.
my neck has straightened itself out finally
Oh,
after a few days of trying to zig and zag. That's always fun.
well, I'm glad it worked out. I know we said an hour.
Good fucking luck, dude. We got 2 episodes to cover.
But they go along well together. Like I said, the pace of this show is, in a different show, 4 and 5 would have been one episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Both 4 and 5 were somewhat longer episodes.
Yeah,
Like
but it was
I
less
know
going
I
on.
know there's I know there's like, I don't know, 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes at the beginning of recap and the intro, and
I
then
don't
like
mind that.
5, 6 minutes at the end. But
Yeah.
like going off of sort of old hour-long network shows, which was like without commercials, like 42,
Hmm.
43 minutes, like
Right.
it's hitting that mark, I think,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
both these episodes. And apparently I saw a thing saying like episode 6 would be even longer.
Interesting.
So, huh? I don't know.
It was funny because I was trying to guess the hookup. I was gonna see if I will get you to skip work early today because I was gonna try to work out early tickets to go see it in the theater. I,
Oh
I
man,
couldn't work it out, but I was gonna be
I
like, "You're cutting work today."
I saw that thing about like episode 5 they're gonna put in theaters, and I was
Yeah,
like, that can't be real.
yeah, that's
Like
real. And I was going. I
like
was I was
and
trying
then
to
I
work it
saw
out.
the second article about it and I was like, is this
Yeah,
fucking real? I
yeah.
was
I
like, do
was.
they think it's that big? And it's like, okay, I get it now. I get why they thought they
Yeah,
could pull people into the theaters for this one
and
episode.
And the thing is, it's also a publicity stunt, and then it's also probably to rally the people to watch the show. And then
Mm-hmm.
also it's free, so it wasn't like they were charging anybody money. It's
Really?
yes, it's time. It was always
That's
time,
wow.
and that's why I was trying to put it in a lottery so I could get 2 tickets so we could go. And I was going to surprise you, but I couldn't work it out. But I was
Oh man, that
trying.
would have been
So
dope.
so if they do it again before the show is over, like maybe the last episode, last 2 episodes or something like that. Then I'll see if I can get it for next time. But that was going. I was going to try to hook you up.
I remember, geez, it's maybe 10 years ago now. Oh. They
Time.
were doing the 50th anniversary episode of Doctor Who. And
Mm-hmm.
they were gonna stream it, online and everything else. But they also like they put it out in theaters day of,
Okay.
like across the country. And I managed to go see it, and wow.
Yeah.
Like there's a few sort of theater experiences where one, whatever the story is, whatever the movie is, like it's done really well, and it has fuck yeah moments where
Yeah.
like it's one thing if you're watching at home, you're like, oh cool. But like when you're watching it in a crowd,
Yeah. Makes all the
oh fuck, like the
Yeah.
whole place just can explode sometimes
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
amount of sort of excitement and stuff. Like I'm thinking now like Marvel's Endgame, like
Yeah. And it's funny, and that's a good example that you use for that because I was about to say, even with those kind of situations that I went to, that was like almost a show, like a TV show viewing that they had going on.
mhm.
Like I would say, it was almost like a stronger energy and stronger fandom, just because you actually spend more hours with a show than you would a movie.
Yeah.
So whatever number of movies you saw, because like the closest thing would have been Endgames, because there's so many back to back connected
Uh-huh.
stories that you would have lived with for years, just like it would be for a TV show, and you really have
Yeah.
those people in your lives all the time, weekly, if not more. I remember seeing Buffy the Vampire Slayer season finale at the Parkway in Oakland.
So like the series finale, like all the
Yeah,
very last
yeah, the
episode.
series, yeah, series
Dude,
finale. And when my coworker,
anyone going there is gonna be a diehard Buffy
yes,
fan.
yes, yes, yes. And we were all watching it together. And one of my coworkers, she was into Buffy too. And I say, I'm gonna go see Buffy. Want to go? She's like, yeah, I'll go. And it was it was like watching with family, and everybody sitting up there just kind of laughing at the right stuff and oohing and on at the right stuff, getting choked up at the right parts and stuff. It was a real nice experience, and it was just like, yeah, it was really special. So when they do stuff like that, it's yeah, it's a good thing to take part in. It's like
I,
it's like Comic Con or WonderCon. You're there with your
right.
folks.
I would imagine if anyone managed to go to this episode 5 screening,
Hmm.
like clearly they're gonna be a diehard Star Wars fan, but
Yeah.
I feel like really the big payoff is unlike I would say most of the rest of the Ahsoka series, which is like they're bringing back a lot of Rebel stuff.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is like 100% Clone Wars,
yeah,
100% Clone Wars,
yeah,
and so I hope that the Clone Wars animated show diehard fans like maxed out on that lottery and got in there.
yeah. I thought it was really
So,
cool.
an aside, so we were at Comic Con one year with my buddy Esteban.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like him, me, and like one other person, I can't remember, but we got in to see, they were showing a bunch of previews for movies,
Mm-hmm.
right? New trailers that were coming out. And how not House on Haunted Hill. It's like it was a video game adaptation. It's the one with Pyramid Head, right?
Resident
It's one of
Evil.
the
No, no,
no, it's
no,
not the
no.
zombie one.
House on Honey Hill. No, House on Honey Hill.
I think it's on House on Haunted Hill. It's
I know what
one
you're
of those.
talking
But yeah,
about.
Pyramid Head is the big bad guy, right? And
Yeah.
it's one of those sort of like, oh God, what horrible things have we unlocked? Blah blah blah. And so in the trailer, I don't know if this made it in the final trailer, but there's just a moment where like Pyramid Head shows up and everyone's like, "Oh shit, run!" Like I think it was actually like a scene
Mm-hmm.
from the movie, and he grabs someone, yanks them up like above his head, and then just reaches up with his other hand and just in one move like strips all the skin off the body in one go, and
Oh.
like the blood splatters on the screen, and it's like you could hear a pin drop except for my buddy Esteban next to me, who's like, fuck yeah. You could hear it throughout the entire auditorium. Wildly inappropriate. And you can just hear people cracking up.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Sound like it
like
was a
20 years
moment.
later, 20 years later, I still crystallize in my mind.
That definitely sound like a moment. All right. All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, it's Jay. I'm back in for another one. And tonight I have with me.
Uh, Ryan, from a long line of unconventional, problematic masters. Let's put it that way.
What's good, man? What's good?
Episode 4 and 5. I think
right.
is the short answer to that.
That would be correct. Real quick, what's been up with you these past couple of weeks?
Huh. Let's see. My neck went out of alignment multiple times. So at least I'm not leading with "and I'm tired."
I was waiting.
I got something new in there. I mean, I was also tired at various points, but yeah,
That's not the problem of today.
I'm at that age now, Sonny, where you just sleep wrong and. So,
Ain't that something? Back in the day, you used to have to get punched in the face or walk into a wall or
man, it
fall
wasn't
off
even
a
sleeping
dirt
wrong.
bike
I sat wrong in a meeting.
Oh wow!
I sat down for a like 45-minute meeting, and by the end of it, I was like, "Why is my neck yelling at me?" So yeah, I got to say hi to my chiropractor a few times, and put some ice packs on. But geez, other things, nice things. Man, humans are not really built for remembering the nice things very well.
I get it. It's I guess maybe because they're so far and few, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
When it's good, it's good. When it's
we're built to remember the bad things, so we avoid them.
Exactly.
And how are things with you aside from your eyes melting?
Man, I'm in front of a screen all day, and then I'm on a screen when I get home, and then movie screen as often as possible. and always watching the TV screen as much as possible. So I think all that's catching up. I think staying up late is catching up. But then a factor that I think I figured out what it was, because I felt better today, was realizing that I think my allergies was a factor as well.
Oh,
And I wasn't even tripping off of it because I wasn't sneezing, so I had no other kind of symptoms, because usually I'm sneezing and everything all the time. So since that wasn't happening, I was assuming I wasn't having any issues with allergies. So I had the bright idea yesterday to, like, let me go pick up some Claritin D and see if that makes a difference. And I took that this morning, and I'm like, I have some issues with my eyes, but not as bad as it's been as of lately. So I think that's what it probably was. But I will be honest, me going back to bed and closing my eyes and resting some more, I did feel better. But I think the underlying issue is probably my allergies. So
well,
one of those kind of things.
I mean, in theory, you can get more sleep. In theory.
Yeah, I'm sure I do need it, and I gotta do better with that. So, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. But other than that, it's all good. Before we know it, man, it's gonna be October, so it's going to have to be some costume buying time. Actually, buying costumes now is the time to do it if you want to get something that you actually want.
I was just thinking that we got a spirit that always opens up in the shopping center 2 blocks away in the same spot. And like, okay, if we're gonna get the kiddo an outfit, we probably need to go now.
Yeah. So
it might just be for some pictures. We did some pictures last year. We'll go and get him an outfit. We could do some pictures this year.
Gotta do it, man.
Cute, because he is very cute.
You gotta take advantage of it. But I can't tell you. Well, I guess they can tell you no, but why they can't do anything about it.
So this has been the amazing thing. Like, his vocabulary is like expanding. Like, certainly no issues there. But we've been surprised that he's like, what, 2 and 4 months, something like that.
Wow.
And I think just started using no. Like yesterday. Like, like, he has opinions on, stuff he doesn't want to do.
Right.
But it's usually like a physical, like, pulling away from, a food or a toothbrush or whatever it is.
Or side eye or a shrug.
But I think that was the first time I heard him say no. And I was like, oh boy, here we go.
One of many.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, but you'll work it out. And plus, he's a cute kid. So, that goes a long way. All right. So let's dig into this. So we got episode 4, Fallen Jedi. And it's directed by Peter Ramsen, Ramsen. Not Steph Green.
Hey, I didn't catch it either.
But yeah, so we got Peter who directed this
Talking
episode.
About Buffy and all.
Right, exactly. And this is one of those kind of episodes that I feel, and we spoke about it before, is that I feel like it could have been attached to episode 5. They lend to each other highly. This was the episode where they landed, they're working on a ship, they get attacked. It's more of them trying to work it out. Ahsoka and Sabine kind of working out their issues slightly, and Sabine is working with her armor, kind of getting everything kind of pulled together. They're gonna check out the world and see what's going on with it, and they're trying to get the bad guy. So it's all this different things, stuff that's kind of going on. And you got the robot out there, and the robot name is Hu Yang. And so he's a trip. The personality and everything it's a trip, especially with like blinking eyes and stuff. It's very interesting. He's a very interesting droid. I haven't seen anything quite like him, and it's kind of fun. It's always one of the things. It's like the droids are always the things that almost stands out on all these shows, and I think it's pretty cool that they're finding different ways and different introductions of different droids, and you still finding connections to them. You know what I mean? I haven't really saw a droid in the show that I haven't really liked yet. Like, they might get on your nerves, but they have some kind of redeeming qualities to them, and I think it's pretty neat how they always seem to find a new way to express.
There's enough personality there.
Yes.
Right?
He probably is a personality.
C-3PO is like a little bit annoying, but he's still like, there's still a person there.
Yeah.
And it is kind of trippy with Hu Yang to remember that he is as old, if not older, than Yoda, and like just the number of Jedi that he's seen grow up and for like a bunch of them, he's probably been around when he learned that they died, right? So it's very interesting to keep that in mind, especially when we get into his little small scene in episode 5. But
Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that when he gets attacked, so he
Yeah.
was training Sabine in the previous episode, and he's got these little arms,
Mhm.
so he can have the hollow projectors that she's targeting. And when he gets attacked, he actually uses these tiny little
Yeah.
appendages over his shoulder to like
Fight as well.
fend off, and like, oh, he can actually fight against like a combat droid. So
Yeah.
that was a cool little surprise. So they're of course setting up what Sabine is going to do later, and you know, this is really her episode as much as the fights are her and, you know, Ahsoka squaring off against the bad guys. But like they do a small thing where like they're getting ready and Sabine's like going through her stuff, and it's like she's looking for like the power unit for like one of her blasters, right? And it's just showing how agitated and like on edge she is, right? Because she's so focused on like, this needs to work so we can get Ezra back, right? And that's not on the surface of like she's saying that, but it's like Ahsoka's the more calm one, and just like, here's the thing over here, and it's like that's the clear hint to Ahsoka, like, oh, can I count on you, right? That becomes the whole setup for like, can I count on you to do the right thing, which is to not put your needs and your feelings about getting Ezra back in front of, we got to stop Thrawn from coming back at all costs, right?
Yeah, because she straight up asked her, which I was kind of surprised, like, wow.
And of course, like, I don't think anyone's like, because Sabine, like, no, yeah, it'll be fine. And it's just like, okay, well, clearly, like, it totally foreshadows, like, even Ahsoka's like,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't like that pause.
Right? Because I think she also said, like, it won't come to that, right? Sabine doesn't want to face that possibility because she can't, right? And as it comes down to it, she can't put, you know, blocking Thrawn from coming back above getting Ezra back. So like, and it's, I'd almost say it's just like storytelling 101 of like, you foreshadow big choices so that when it happens in the moment, you don't have to have like, let's have a flashback to explain why she made this strange choice that seems, you know, out of character. But if you just lay a couple breadcrumbs, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
So it have to be so left field.
Right, we saw this coming, right? But I was surprised just how much of episode 4 was just like, all right, we're gonna go combat, because it's like, aside from that setup at the beginning, it's almost all like, let's get these fucking lightsabers out and Star Wars some shit all the way through this episode.
The whole episode is pretty much that, because even when they were like trying to work things out, and like you said, she's putting her stuff together in the ship, you know, downstairs, you know, to me it was so funny because like I said, he's working on, you know, was working on the ship and stuff, and I was thinking like, and then he got kind of ambushed. It was funny because they kind of had like the side view, and it was kind of pulled away a little bit, a side shot of them fighting, and I was like, this is just like rocket socket robots. Pink, 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 pink. Rocket socket robots. It was just so funny, just like, but it was cool.
And I try to remember, I think it was Hu Yang who specifically like pulled the wire out behind him because he was kind of pinned.
Because he made like a shortage in the ship.
That is a great example of a character doing a lateral move. Right? That shows some actual thought. And it's only because Hu Yang and Ahsoka know each other well enough. And she's like, no, he doesn't fuck up like that. Something's wrong. Let's go. And her and Sabine come rolling out.
That was some real shorthand of a relationship.
It's like, that robot does not fuck up. Something's wrong.
So he made it worse. He wouldn't make it worse. So they knew that was a warning. I thought that was really dope too. And so they go out there and they're battling, and it gets to a point where Ahsoka, she splits off and fights with Snake Eyes or Morok.
Well, before they split off, so they fend off the first round of goons.
Right.
And then Hu Yang is like, stick together. You two are better together. right? Which
Which,
comes back in episode 5.
yeah.
And of course, like the second they run into Shin and Morak, like they're like splitsies.
Right,
And,
right.
and the funny thing is, like, so Sabine is doing her blasters. She pulls out her blasters and starts shooting at Shin,
Yeah.
as she would.
Yeah.
And Shin is just like, we're gonna run over here.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, no, I'm just gonna fight you right here.
Right here. Right. Yeah.
Like, I know how to dodge blasters. Like, maybe I need to hide behind a tree a little bit. But it allows the characters to get split up. And then they go and have their separate fights.
I thought it was interesting that she was embracing her Mandalorian. I thought that was kind of interesting, especially because all this other stuff with her trying to learn the lightsaber and all this kind of stuff. Well, I guess because she's going to battle, she's going to stick with what she's strong at then, right? As far as like with the the pistol and all that.
Right, it's what she's familiar with, what she's comfortable with. Like, and she already got beat by Shin with lightsabers. It's like maybe that's not my first move.
Right.
And I do like how in her fight we finally get to that bit where we see it in the trailer and Shin's like, you have no power, and Sabine's like trying to do a force push and Shin's like, man, yeah, you ain't got it. And so then she just flicks her wrist and like launches her wrist rockets at her.
Right.
And she's like, whoa, I don't want that smoke.
Right.
And then throws a smoke bomb and disappears. And I was like, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
She pulled a Batman.
Pulled a Batman. I was like, that's a solid move. But yeah, Sabine didn't try to be someone that she's not.
Right.
So she's like, all right, this is not working. I'll just fucking use my Mandalorian training. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like I tried the lightsaber, didn't work. Da, da, da. So I liked how that fight went. Was it Morak?
Yeah.
And that fight with Ahsoka. I do have to turn my sword brain off sometimes.
I wanted to ask you about that because as much as I thought it was dope, I couldn't tell if they pulled away to a wide shot so they could cover up something, because I almost didn't understand the finishing move.
So I have
to ask Ryan.
The wide shot's not the quibble that I had with any of the fighting in episode 4 or even in episode 5. That I took as a direct homage to like samurai films.
I figured that.
Right,
I'm just saying, I just wish I would have saw it closer because I wanted to see the detail. That's sort of a classic
thing is they both sort of get in their ready pose,
right,
and then they close and engage, right? And a lot of times it's one hit dead.
Right.
I think that is an homage. I think I'd have to go back. I watched episode 4 once. I watched episode 5 the second time today. And I don't know if in 4, but definitely in 5, I felt like the music was just so much sort of Japanese samurai soundtrack influenced. Like, it was still Star Wars. It was like, it sounded like a samurai soundtrack.
Like I said, I like the style of it, how it looked, but like I said, I wish it was closer because I didn't understand the move that she made, because she stayed in one position basically, and then he had his sword, shooting off on both ends and then start spinning, right? And so they showed the setup close up, and then I understand the shot being a wide shot, but when they kind of collided, I didn't see
they kind of cheated the exchange. Basically, she caught the spin and was able to step underneath it and cut him along the side.
So I couldn't make that out from the wide shot.
Her blades sort of up over her head.
Yep.
And so presumably, instead of coming down to engage, which would put her on top of one of the blades, she just drops it underneath whichever side is spinning downward to catch and stop the spin. And then she just moves her blade across his midsection and steps past the cut.
They should have showed that close up. That would have been dope. Okay.
There's a lot of talk about like this episode having some great lightsaber stuff, and I don't disagree with that. And episode 5 certainly, but I don't think it's necessarily like the best lightsaber fight in Star Wars.
Right.
And this is going to be totally subjective. I think on sort of, wow, this looks like an amazing fight is still like Darth Maul and Obi-Wan in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And most of that fight with Qui-Gon as well. there's more longer wide shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a, there's still some, but less sort of like turning my back to my opponent, spin move, blah blah blah.
Right.
But you can just see more continuous move, 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 cut to a new angle,
Right.
which is hard to do for actors. It's hard to do for the stunt people because you just have to do more of the moves correctly, right? It has to be set up so that it works with the camera angle, all that sort of stuff. It's harder to do longer sequences
Right.
as opposed to move, 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 cut, move, 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 cut, move, 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 cut, move, cut, right? It
Mm-hmm.
faster the cuts, the more intense it seems. But
Right.
for someone who wants to see what's happening, it doesn't work as well.
Like it almost showed you how this wasn't going to be a regular fight. It almost sets up like how you're going to get through this. And so to kind of
Yes.
rob you from that setup, if he had a regular lightsaber, then you would have known, like, yeah, she got to him first. But it almost like here's a wall, and then it's far away, and then you see the car got through it. And you're like, wait a minute, how did the car get past that?
Here's the
And not to stick on that, but I just thought it was kind of interesting because I really like the setup, and it's just funny how it just bypassed the setup for me after they kind of showed how like she can't get through this. What's she gonna do? And she, like I said, she had her high pose and all that, and it was just like, huh.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like there's moves that they could have shown that again are not super complicated because she just has to. I think if she's facing him, I think his blades were spinning clockwise, right? So they're coming down on her right side, they're going up on the left side. So she can either go over his blade on the left and push it down as it's coming up, or she can come underneath it on the right. And considering she passes by on his right, so she moves to her left past him to cut him on his right side, she would have to drop the tip of her blade down and forward to catch at it on his left, her right, where it's coming down. So she's underneath his blade, and then she can just push him up and slide underneath the other side of his lightsaber and cut him through the right. But they didn't. But it doesn't show it, right?
No,
it's just because
there's the aftermath of it. But
see the aftermath, which again is an homage.
Yeah.
Right? Of like, boom, it happens and they're dead.
Because
right?
you almost don't know how bad the hit is, and then after it's a pause, you notice the strike, and then they fall out. So so they had that kind of thing too, which is really cool.
I'm gonna try and get names right. There's a particular Akira Kurosawa film with Toshiro Mifune, who's, they did collaborations for years, and like he was in the original film, Hidden Fortress that George Lucas like directly used as inspiration for Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. But there's another set of films that he did that directly inspired like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars. Like they are inspired off of Sanjuro and Yojimbo. And at the end of one of those, the protagonist sort of adversary, who's kind of a samurai Ronin person who does have some actual honor, but he just ended up with like some shitty people to work with. Like they have a final confrontation, and they're like 2 feet from each other, and they just stare down, and it plays out for like, I don't know, 10 seconds. It feels like forever. And then boom, they just move. And you almost like, I've had to rewatch it multiple times. And the thing is, you can actually see the actors doing the action, right? Of the adversary pulls and draws up above his head, and the Ronin just short draws his blade and steps underneath his arms and cuts him right through the side. And so it's very evocative of that, of bam, you don't even see it, right? And ironically, that scene, because they set up a blood splatter to come out of this guy's chest, it malfunctioned and it they pumped it too hard, and so instead of just like a gurgle of blood, it fountained out of his chest.
Like Kill Bill.
Right? Like, well, that's the thing. That is the scene that started that trend in anime and other Japanese film of just like a geyser of blood.
Yeah,
and it was totally an accident. But it like, so I feel like that whole thing of like, she just moves and he's dead.
Yeah.
Right? Is an homage to that. So for those of us like, oh, I wanted to see the move. It's an homage. Like,
is that what I sounded like?
No. No, because like I too, like I sometimes am like wanting to see the moves better. I mean,
like I said, it's just because they set it up.
Jeff, like he's done HEMA with me. He's done martial arts for years and stuff, like Olympic style fencing. And like we'd watch it, and I was like, one of the things that would just change the tension in the fight is just seeing a character flinch away, realize, oh, I'm about to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to a high guard. Oh shit, they're actually going low, right? Of just characters being off guard instead of sort of this perfect choreography of boom, boom, boom. Oh, and they maybe lean away, right?
Mm-hmm.
They like one person's dominant. We see that, but like just sort of the like, I'm gonna go right, psych, and I go over here, right? And it's like I know that the Jedi reflexes and they got sort of a precog so they can see a step ahead, but like if both of them can see a step ahead, then it almost neutralizes the advantage. Right. So it's just like it still comes down to rock, paper, scissors. Here we go. Can I get you to think I'm throwing rock, but I'm gonna throw scissors instead, right? And it's like that sort of dynamic fighting makes it feel like a fight where like these people are trying to like get them to make the wrong move so they can do what they want. Like it feels way more scary because like both sides are like, oh shit, fucking god, ooh, don't want it, nope, I got you, right? Instead of just like hoo ha 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 hoo ha ha.
Right, it's just a dance.
And that's right, it's just like a dance. And like going back to like, I thought, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul was like a really great fight. It suffers from that same problem. Like from the most part, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, jump 6, 7, 8, right? It's like that. And that's just like for most people, like that don't see sword fights in that way. And like I think a lot more people, because they're more familiar with like boxing and MMA, could like if they looked at like, that's why it's harder I think to do like I want to say like the Apollo movies and the Rocky movies and like boxing movies. You expect more of this like the head fake and the sidestep and like you're playing speed chess, right? But that's just not sort of the style of Star Wars for the most part of like right? It's just not how it plays. And it's like, all right, well, whatever. There you go.
Visual language of the show.
Yeah.
Or the series.
So I will make one small quibble, and this is so fucking sword nerd. So Ahsoka, her primary lightsaber has the curved hilt, right? And so Dooku had a curved hilt because his was meant to be like a dueling saber. And so in actual, like, that's kind of a thing from like actual swordplay. But hers is a two-handed lightsaber. And so the one hand like is straight in line with the blade, and then the other, the lower part, curves towards her. This is the thing that doesn't make any fucking sense. So if you're using a two-handed sword, at times your secondary hand, your left hand, to fully extend it out, you're going to hold it along your right forearm, right? Yeah. But because that handle comes towards her forearm, she wouldn't be able to extend it fully out, right? Because just that angle in pops the blade a little bit back towards her, and it's just the dumbest quibble to fucking have. I know. I don't even think I even noticed that her. No, that's fair. I don't think I even noticed that it curved like that. So that's a good catch. Yeah, it's a totally nonsensical thing to give a shit about in a story about space wizards.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, what happened after? Oh well, the other thing is
Yeah.
she killed Merrick.
We got a question
Who
answered.
is he? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
He's space dust, green space dust.
Well, so remember that they've been saying with or Elizabeth. Oh God, I can never remember her name. The one Balin's working for.
Yeah. The bad witch.
The bad witch. Important. So she says she's descended from the Sisters of Dathomir, right? And they are the Night Sisters, and they are witches, right? They use the Force in an entirely different way, and one of the things they can do is they can reanimate people, right? And he was clearly one of her reanimated targets.
Yeah.
Right? So him not talking to anyone, like.
But he did speak.
He did? When?
In the ship.
When they were in the ship?
Yep.
When they were in the Starfighters?
And that's why I thought, like, oh, maybe he really is somebody, because they have him speak. And I'm like, why did they give him a speaking part? I'm sure they did that just to kind of throw people off, because I thought he was doing too much. He had like a close-up. He was in the ship and he spoke. And I was thinking like, oh, he has a voice. That's interesting. And it sounded mechanical in a way, like his voice being changed or something. That's why I thought, oh, okay.
Well, he's got like a voice box on his mask.
Like a kind of a thing. So that's what I thought was kind of interesting. That's why I thought it was like a person. So when he got sliced, I was surprised that she did it. And I was thinking like, is he going to die or is he going to survive? You know, 'cause we got people surviving. But when he kind of split open and then it went, steampunk, and all this green dust started shooting out, and you can see even his arm kind of shrinking and everything, like that. Like the air got let out of the balloon. I'm like, wow.
Skeletal immediately. Yeah.
I said, okay, well, that's an answer.
Yeah, that's a night system. So the thing will be, do they do any sort of callback to it, or is it just like, we don't care about him anymore? Like, is Morgan gonna be like, hey, where's so and so? And it's like, he's dead. Who gives a shit? Like, in my head, looking at this from sort of like a structural component of what these characters need to do and who needs to be where, and importantly, who can fight who. Because Ahsoka cannot fight Shin because she will win. Ahsoka, we need to put a fight into episode 2 where they're at the industrial shipyards. Shin's there, right? She's on the ship that comes and picks up Marek, but doesn't fight Shin. Because Shin's the apprentice. She would clearly just win, right? Marek kind of holds his own. He's kind of there just so Ahsoka has someone to fight and almost beat the first time and then beat the second time that isn't Balin and isn't Shin.
I love how you broke that down, because that's really the truth of it. Yeah.
We need a placeholder character that can allow us to have these action scenes, but we don't have to develop a character, right?
But I will say Marek and Balin kind of took turns with her as far as being that person on her level that she could kind of have it out with. Because but the thing is that Marek is not on her level. The first fight lasts as long as it does because he's got the droids helping, and then once the droids are out of the way, it's like, I need to get out of here, right? And so it feels like in episode 4 that she has a longer fight with Merrick because we cut away to Shin and Sabine, but she fucking pwns him, right? She totally takes him down. If that was like the sort of like, all right, we need to get this filler character in here so we can do this structurally, I'm like, all right, cool, well done, right? And then we find a way where he dies and we don't really care, but it also like sort of explains or alludes to an explanation of like why this guy is here, and it's like, oh, the Night Sister brought back this dead Inquisitor. So I don't know, I thought it was well done. And then I think what if they do the thing Hugh Yang tells them not to do, and they split up to have their separate fights. Yeah, and it was funny because first thing I thought, because they did show, because before, when they fight in the droids, they showed for sure that they could fight well together, which was really nice to see them fight.
Even Ahsoka grabbing the one guy to put him
Right,
in front of the one
right,
shooting Sabine.
which was dope. Which was dope.
Woof.
But it was also funny because they did have a moment where Sabine was like, "I got this," and I cracked up.
It's like, okay, you didn't have it last time, but it's like she didn't have her
Right.
armor on.
Yeah.
There was an interesting bit going back to her fight with Shin. I actually had to like rewind it. It's one of, you know, they got to do the classic like we've locked blades and we're looking into each other's eyes thing.
Right,
which,
right.
like I just got to turn off again sword fighting brain. You don't do that.
Mhm.
But so Shin had her lightsaber horizontal, and Sabine was one-handing her lightsaber in her right hand and sort of had her blade sort of towards the tip of Shin's, but she also had her Beskar bracer, her gauntlet on
Yeah,
her
she was
left
kind of
hand
using.
on the blade. So
Yeah.
she's actually like doubling
Yeah.
on the blade. So
I
it's
like the
like,
use of
yeah,
that.
Shin's got both hands on it, but it's like,
Yeah.
I got some leverage on you, bud. Like,
Yeah, but she told her she got it to go for the map.
right.
But that's how she ended up getting into a lightsaber situation with Balin. And I thought it was kind of interesting because he was talking about how he knew Anakin. Knew her.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And then also mentioned her leaving because he was saying like we knew him, and it goes with the title of the Fallen Jedi. Yeah, so it was interesting how that kind of tied into it. But he kind of knows the history of everything and what's going on with everything, and he says it to kind of throw her off, I'm assuming. But she kind of took it like a champ and really wasn't giving him the reaction that he probably wanted.
Well, I really, it's a very small moment, but like he kind of pauses, and it's clearly like he's reading her mind, right? He's
Oh, is that what that
like,
is?
oh yeah, yeah, because she has like, this is not about my past. When it's like, as we see in episode 5, like, yeah, it fucking is. Like,
Yeah.
he's picking up the tension that's going on underneath the surface for her that we don't realize the full extent of till the next episode. And he's trying to like throw that in her face, which is why he starts talking about Anakin.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not about my goddamn past. And he's like, yeah, sure it is. Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally not about your past. Nope. You're totally past that. Aside from like the fight scene being pretty damn good, her and Balin's fight scene, I think, worked pretty damn well. I'm now gonna do my sword nerd quibbles again, and it's just such. One of them is like so fucking petty, and the other one is like you have to like. All right, so one at the very start, and we're just gonna talk about the very start of the fight. Balin is the bigger fighter.
Yes.
And a lot of times you have the person that's bigger, that has longer reach. And in this case, he's playing defense.
Okay.
Right? He just has to play defense. So he gets to sit in the center of that fight at the start. And so she's pacing around him. She's trying to find an opening. Right? Which on that surface level, I like that is the right approach. Quibble. Fucking small ass quibble. And this is probably Ray Stevenson, like just whatever age he was, RIP. Like he didn't bend his knees. And this is such.
You're funny. But I get it.
If you're in a fight, you need to bend your knees so you can move, right? If your legs are straight and stiff, like all you can do is stand there. But the lower you are, right? Going back to, what was it, episode 2, Ahsoka's fight with Marek at the shipyard. She's in a deep ass stance, right?
Maybe it was almost overextension.
Yeah, it's almost too deep. But he was just very stiff-legged, and it like took me out for a second when I saw it. I was like, what are you doing? Right? But from like also just a posture standpoint, though, it also works in a way because it's just like, I'm standing here. I don't have to look like I'm super battle ready because my presence does the work for me, right? But this is such a stupid quibble. Now here's the like nth level nerd issue that I had with the very start of this fight. She circles around him, and then she takes a very particular stance where her lightsaber is behind her and low, and that is That is straight up a Kenjutsu stance. Like her stance with Marek,
Mhm.
right? That big wide shot was over her head and the sword's kind of pointed back.
Right.
That is a specific Kenjutsu stance. The behind and sort of low, you're hiding your blade, right? It's a specific thing.
Mhm.
But with both of those, the high over the head and the sword back, and the low sort of behind and the sword back, in sort of sword theory, what you're doing is you're inviting the person to attack because you're moving your blade further away from them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if my blade's straight out towards you, you got to deal with my blade, right?
Right.
It's a defensive posture.
Right.
If my blade's out to my side, well, I can still bring it back in line. But if it's way behind me and also low is not advantageous. Up above me and behind, all right, I can at least bring it down
Right, get some
on
force.
whatever you're throwing at me, right?
Right.
But I'm low and behind. From sort of like sword approach and what you would try and do from that position, you're trying to invite them to attack.
Mhm.
But she's the aggressor, right? He's
Right.
playing defense. And so what does she do? She's like, all right, well, he's not coming in. So and this specific sequence of sort of 2 slashes that she does from that position is something in the German longsword tradition that I do as part of HEMA, but it only works if the person comes in. So she swings from low and comes up, and he's not there and she's not in reach yet, so she can't even hit him. She has to take another step and swings it around and comes over across from her top right, and then they clash and then the fight's on.
Right.
But the way that move works, at least in Meyer's tradition, is you invite them to fucking attack. You are out to the side and low, they come in, right, either in a thrust or an attack, and you swing up and clash their blade and knock it off, and then turn your blade back in and hit him at the opposite shoulder. It is a very specific move. There's I don't recall his name, but like there's a guy that does that at fucking tournaments.
Wow.
And so it's one of those things where it looks cool. That whole thing, boom, boom, and she attacks him, right? It looks cool, but there's no actual like strategy, tactic there. Total nerd rant. I am sorry, dear listener, that you had to experience that. You have no idea how nerdy the fucking HEMA sword people are. But beyond that, the rest of the fight really works. I'm still getting tired of like, I'm going to turn my back and do a spin move, and I'm going to kick you when I have the opportunity and opening. It's like, it's like, because anything short of like, I'm going to hit you with my sword, which will do a lot of damage. It's like, all right, we got to do some punches and some kicks. They could have jumping off the pillar, like those little acrobatic bits. I liked. I was like, all right, cool, right? She's getting pushed back, so she sticks her legs straight out sideways and braces herself against the pillar. I was like, all right, cool, rule of cool. But I was thinking about this the other day with her fight with Balin, a way that you can get around sort of the like, we need to show a way of them hitting each other without landing a lightsaber strike. Balin has those shoulder pauldrons, and if it was like, hey, they're fucking Beskar, right, then she can strike him on the shoulder. And unlike with Luke and Vader, where Vader's like, because it actually cuts him, it's like, Beskar. You just like have it where it's like, bam, she lands a blow and sparks fly, and he just shrugs and goes Beskar, and then comes in for the next attack.
That'd be dope,
right? But anyway, like the fight works, and then of course we get to, he just starts dominating, takes out one of her lightsabers and gets her down to one knee, and he's pressing her down, and finally Sabine shows up, and of course she's got the map and she's got one of her blasters to it. She's like, let her go. I'm totally committed to destroying this map thing. That is the key to getting my friend back. Totally committed. And he's just like, whatever. Whamp, and just knocks Ahsoka off the cliff. And of course, falling off a cliff in Star Wars means you're totally 100% dead, right? Every time. It's just like getting run through with a lightsaber,
I was
falling
about to
off a
say.
cliff, 100% fatal.
Exactly, exactly. And it's funny because while all this is running, going for the map and all this other kind of stuff, you have the witch up there trying to get the
Get the coordinates.
coordinates. And so it's this on-off thing because at one point Ahsoka grabs the sphere with the map and it's like burning her hand, but she's trying to pull it off.
It's a clever way of having the countdown, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
storytelling, like, ooh, we got a countdown, the clock's kicking down, and we cut to the readout of how complete the calculation is. And of course, Ahsoka gets there just before it's complete, which means, either she gets out of there with it and they never get the calculation, or Baylan gets it back and they finish the calculation.
Right.
And Sabine gives it to Baylan because he's like, hey, you give that to me,
Guess what you
go
get?
find your friend.
It's almost like a I'm not so bad speech. Like, I'm not here because I'm evil and want to twirl my mustache. I want other things too. Just like you want something, I want something
Right?
too. Semantics. Don't worry. Who's bad? We all got different. We all want the same thing. We're just going about different ways of getting it, and we can work together. And I'll give you my word. If you give me that map,
and he holds to it,
I won't harm you. Yes, because she started getting, force choked from behind, showing her how it really works. Baylan was just like, hey, you don't harm her. Let off. And that's the first time I've ever seen Shin look at him like kind of questioning his order. Any other time, she's usually very on it.
Not happy about that.
First time I saw her kind of like, swallow it and be like, okay. But she didn't want to. She was like way tired and done with Sabine, like really.
Yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure I stabbed you once already. You should be dead.
Right.
But yeah, Baylan, I like a villain, and maybe he's an anti-hero with, he's like, I'm pursuing my own blah 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 goals, but he's not like, yeah, I'm gonna do the bad things to the bad guys. It's like, no, I'm willing to do bad things to anyone to get what I want, which is still nebulous of what he wants, right? Power, but like what form of power is
I was kind of wondering. Yeah, like what is he? Because he mentions that, and it's kind of he's definitely playing a different game than everybody else, and he kind of hints at it but never truly gives his hand, which I think is very interesting. Ray Stevens, he's holding up these episodes. The episodes he's in, he's really shining, and I already like the guy. This displays his skills, his acting skills in a great way, and I'm not glad because I wish he was here, but.
Right. For a performance to go out on?
Yes. Like this is pretty right on. Like he shines on this show for me. He really just like,
It's an interesting type of gravitas.
Yeah.
Because like you get some villains that are big, right? I don't mean physically, but just like they're throwing a lot of moxie around. But a lot of times that's a cover for insecurity and other things like that. Baylan doesn't feel like that type of psyche, right?
Yeah.
It feels like he's probably wounded, right, over what happened with the Jedi, Clone Wars and everything else.
Yeah.
And he's angry, but he's not unhinged.
Yeah.
Right? He is so collected. We haven't seen him get upset, worked up, right?
He's honorable.
And he's honorable, right? He said, I won't let you get hurt. Right. You'll be our prisoner, and I won't let you be harmed. And then immediately Shin tries to harm him, and he's like, stop. I made a promise, right? So like that type of dynamic, the bad guy with a code of honor, but also just having someone that's unflappable, right, is more intimidating. Right? Because usually the protagonist is working through some stuff and they're a little flappable and they haven't quite, got their stuff together, right? Right? And so it makes it more interesting when they get their shit together and now they're on par with each other, right? So here, Baylan's able to knock Ahsoka off her game a little bit and maybe even just be a little bit of a better fighter. And he's able to win out.
Right.
Oh man, and then they get the codes and they go up to the giant hyperspace ship, and that's when Hera shows up.
Yeah, but before that, he destroys the map because he's like, nobody's gonna be following us.
Yeah, that's a power move. It's,
He burned the stage after he performed on it. Like, nobody using the stage after me. This is done.
right.
This is
And
done.
I mean, I kind of question that. I'll be like, what have we got the calculation wrong? We need to redo it. Don't destroy it yet. But whatever. It's a finality to it, and it leaves something behind for Hera to find in episode 5, which is not good. Right, the destroyed map. But yeah, they jump up. They get the hyperspace ring, and they get the calculations, and they're like, oh, here comes Hera in like 5 X-wings in defiance of the New Republic, and they're like, fire up that hyperspace drive, and they just blast right past them,
Right,
and fuck up their shit. Doesn't destroy Hera's, the ghost, her ship, but it like takes out 2 of the X-wings, like just the energy surge. I think they get like hit by whatever.
yeah.
So they're not in a good space, and then that's more or less, well, the last bit I think of episode 5 is they focus back down on the monoliths, and they focus on the ocean, the waves crashing, that don't see a body down there.
Well, I guess you could be floating,
it sort of cuts away or fades away to water, and then it's her sort of floating, and she wakes up in the world between worlds, which is something that came up in Rebels. And she's like, whoa, what's going on? And then it's like, wasn't expecting you so soon. Hey, Snips, and it's motherfucking Anakin Skywalker, Force Ghost. And my jaw hit the floor.
You know what? I wasn't surprised. I kind of figured
back when he was doing promos for like Obi-Wan, and people were like, "Are you going to show up in the Ahsoka show?"
Oh,
and like he did a very good job of like, Like I saw a meme today of just like, So people were like, "Oh, I bet he's going to show up. I bet he's going to show up in the Ahsoka show." And those people, 100% right. I had no clue that he was showing up. I didn't see any spoilers whatsoever until I watched the episode, and I was like, holy shit.
The only reason I kind of thought is because when she kind of woke up wherever she was, that's the only person I think that she could see that would matter, especially when it's all this incomplete.
That would matter.
Because it just got brought up. I mean, when she was fighting Balin, talking about her walking away and not being all the way trained.
Well, just like with Sabine, they set up the question of, can I rely on you? And it's like, clearly no. Balin, in his strategy to fuck with her, brings up the thing that she's stuck on, and so that is also foreshadowing for what we get in episode 5.
Right.
Well
played. It was really cool, and it looked beautiful.
It was interesting, like the de-aging that they did on him.
Okay.
Hayden Christensen, he's older, and it was a little, wasn't Uncanny Valley, but it was like you could clearly see that there was a CG sort of overlay on his performance, and it wasn't really distracting for the most part. Like, he's supposed to look like a Force ghost. It looked a lot better.
Okay, I didn't take it for him supposed to look like a Force ghost in that part, only because he wasn't like tinted blue or anything. Even though I was glad to see him, I'm thinking like, he's not that old, and it doesn't take that much for him. It shouldn't take that much. It's like almost an overcompensation, like a woman who hasn't worn makeup in a long time, and she thinks she needs all that stuff, but she don't, because she's not too far off from what she needs to be. She just needs a little bit.
In the Obi-Wan show, when he had his like flashback thing with Obi-Wan, they didn't de-age him, and it's like, bro, you did not look that fucking old. Like, you don't look like a teenager anymore. Sorry, not sorry. Like,
right, but he wasn't because he's supposed to be a kid, so that was different versus here he's supposed to be older. I'm assuming he wasn't supposed to be a kid in this, was he?
Well, so the thing is that the forced ghost that he's presenting is himself before he fell and became Vader.
So is he really supposed to be okay, so on that plane, like I said, usually you see the Force ghosts, usually don't they normally look transparent and blue?
Little holographic?
Yeah, something like, yeah.
But that's in the real world, and so his appearance being a little bit more solid, right? The first time we see him in there, and anytime they're in that sort of starscape and everything, right? He looks more solid, more physical, right? But there's still just a little etherealness to him.
Yeah, he looked a little overbaked for that initial shot of him, right?
Yeah.
this is Jay, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. I just want to let you know that this conversation is part of a larger conversation that continues on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Hey, it's Jay. If you enjoyed my conversation with Ryan, please check out our episodes where we talked about the Book of Boba Fett, Spider-Man No Way Home, and the movie Batman. Thanks for listening, and until next time, peace.